It's Monday again, Grace.
Monday.
Where are you?
I am at the Doyle Hotel, the famous Doyle Hotel, along the Appalachian Trail in Duncannon, Pennsylvania.
What makes it famous?
It has been around a long time. It's a hostel that has always been very well. It's a hostel and a restaurant that's always been very welcoming to Appalachian Trail hikers.
Gotcha. All right, we have a lot to talk about. You ready to get started?
I'm ready to get started.
Oh my gosh, 47. All right, here we go. It's episode 47, number 47, and for that there are no rhymes. So let's just start the podcast and talk about fun times.
I'm Eric, Idiot Runner Kosek.
And I'm Grace, Hot Pants Langheim. Eric is all business in the front of the pack, and I am all about the party in the back.
That's right, business up front and party in the back. Together, we are the Running Mullet.
And we are going to talk about every aspect of running, the podium to the DNF and everything in between.
If you are a runner, this show is for you. Now sit back, get out your foam roller, and enjoy the party.
Pew, 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 pew. That's a nice scarf you have.
I'm Grace. I'm nice to everybody. I make fun of Eric for no reason. And I like to read race reports. Yeah.
That's a great depiction of me. Good job.
I try to do that all day long. For those that are listening after the fact and not live, I'm wearing her jacket and scarf.
Because I left my jacket and my scarf because I was up at your house over the weekend. How was your weekend, Eric?
Oh, it was great. My weekend was great. The Idiot Runner event happened, the Sadistic Idiot.
Mm-hmm.
We finally got a 100-mile finisher up here for one of my races.
Insane.
Dude is nuts. He has no brain. I don't know. Crazy. Adam Russell went 101 miles. A couple other people went 50 miles. It was a pretty fun day. I think you had fun, didn't you?
I had so much fun. My big hope was to be somewhere between 20 and 40 miles. I didn't want to put too many miles in, knowing that I was going to be hitting the Appalachian Trail today and tomorrow. And so I ended up with 23, and I was really happy with that. And I mean, you know this, one of the biggest goals of the weekend is to make a friend. And I made new friends, so that was important. I got to see old friends. It is the anniversary of when we met, because that's where we met back in 2020.
Yeah, it's a good year. Yeah, this was the 11th event. I have 2 every year, one in the winter, one in the summer. So this was start of year 6, I guess that makes it. Yeah, something like that. But it's crazy. It's been going on that long.
It's so wild. It's such a good weekend. And I'm coming off of all of that happiness and then enjoying a little adventure on the AT today and tomorrow. And we also have an awesome guest. What more could you want?
Yeah. So tell everybody what exactly you did today.
I'm doing, back it on up, bag it up. I'm doing a bigger project, which I started in 2020 to complete a collection of trails that all connect: the Mason-Dixon, the Conestoga, the Brandywine, which are all complete, the Horseshoe Trail, which I haven't completed yet. And there is a 55-mile section of the Appalachian Trail that connects into all of these trails. So they're all like one little blob connection of trails. And so I'm doing this 55-mile section. I didn't initially plan to do it in the winter. I was going to do it in the fall with friends. And now I'm doing it in the winter with up to 12 inches of snow with nobody who's gone through it ahead of me in some sections, and a 30-pound pack. So that's not how I intended to do it, but that's what I'm doing. And it's been a lot of fun.
It sounds like fun. It's better than work. 12 inches of snow, still, it's better than working, right?
Exactly. The sun was out today, and oh man, and the birds were out, and it's beautiful in the snow. I'm having a great day.
How many double-decker cream pies did you eat?
I only ate one, but I bought another one at the gas station just now. So I did have one. I was gonna wait to have it tomorrow, but I was in a spot where I needed some energy, and I had it in reserve, and it was the one from Angie that she sent me, and it came in handy. So thanks, Angie.
Nice. Gave you superpower?
Yeah. Did you see my blanket skirt?
I did, yes.
So I have Callie Genzel. She made me it's a blanket, but you can wear it as a skirt, and I wore it all day today. And it worked great, just so you know.
I love that idea. What I'm wondering is, can you incorporate that into a towel also? So a towel that can be used as a blanket, and you can also make into a skirt like you guys have it. You're probably onto something there.
Well, Orange Mud has a towel that you can wear as a skirt. I have one that my friend Lacey gave to me, which is great. And you can also hook it over the headrest of your car, so you don't make your car all gross. But I'm drying it right now. This is that's my my blanket skirt, or skirt blanket. I don't know which one, but it worked out great today. So I had my base layers, and then I had my blanket skirt. Kept me toasty.
Well, maybe a towel blanket skirt with my face on it to be different and sell more of them would work. I don't know.
That, I don't know that we could make enough.
No, they'd sell
People
out
would
quick.
like it so much.
All right, Grace. What do we got on tonight?
We're going to have Carl on. I am really excited to have Carl Perkins, because one of the reasons why is because, I love running his races. I've run Phunt 2-3 times, something like that. I've been volunteering for the past 3 years. I love volunteering for his races, or for Phunt in particular. And I think hands down, it is probably, there's a lot of great race directors out there, and I don't want to not include anybody, but he might be number one on my list. He's just so good, and as a race director, I respect that he does. We thought we would have him on to talk a little bit about so the stories that he's had over the years, race directing. This he's been around for a long time, but he's been race directing for 10 years.
All right, you're breaking up a little, just so you know. I don't know if there's anything you can do, but your audio is breaking up, and your visual video is very slow and blocky. So I don't know. Do what you can.
Okay. Well, it was awesome. He's on the show. Also, Trans Rock.
Just talk really, really slow.
All right.
All right. Carl, I'm going to bring you on. Hopefully, hopefully she can figure out what's going on. Thanks for being on tonight.
Oh gosh, my pleasure. Totally my pleasure. I'm not sure I can, get into the shoes that she's built me up to. Grace has kind of inflated my ego then some. Last week she was talking about me, and then listening to her talk here, I only hope that I'm half as good as she's led everybody to believe.
So let's give us the background, because I don't know the answer. How many years have you been race directing Phunt?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's I think the 11th year now. So it started back, I was between the Trail Dogs, the group that I run with. There's kind of not quite sure when it actually kind of started. We kind of picked 2003 as when it kind of officially started. So a little over 20 years ago. Phunt is just the mashup of the original race directors' names, Phil and Hunt. They mashed their names together, much like the Hat Run was created. So they started this fat ass event back in 2003. I think the first year they had like 10 finishers. It, you know, steadily grew for a fat ass. So maybe got up to 50, 100 runners, 150 runners, 200 runners. So fast forward, 11 years ago, Phil was retiring. Hunt was changing jobs. So, they were looking for somebody to kind of take it over within the Trail Dogs Club. Nobody really kind of raised their hands. So after running so many events with the Trail Dogs and volunteering in some fashion, I kind of slowly raised my hand up. And as they say, the rest is history. Grace has described Phunt as a smooth, well-oiled machine. And trust me, the first couple of years, we were definitely, learning what the kinks were and working them out and everything. So confident to say, though, this felt like, I think, wholeheartedly one of the smoothest years ever and the most fun races here the last couple of years that we can remember. So so that's where we are today. It kind of transitioned from a fat ass event when it first started in 2003. Now, pleased to say, we sell out a year in advance. So 2025 is 11 and a half months away, and we're sold out. So that's awesome from my perspective.
Well, yeah.
And what's your entrance right now? 800?
Yeah, we got about a little over 800 right now signed up, and that's kind of what we aimed for this past, the past race that just finished, right around 800. Now, over the months leading up to the actual event itself, Grace, we had several drop offs. So leading up to race day, we had about 700 that were theoretically going to show up, and then actually on race day we had 526. So it could have been the weather, lack of training, or running on the gravel, a combination of all three that kept about 200 people away. But that's where we are nowadays.
Wow.
So I want to hear any good stories you have from as long as you've been race directing the race, and without throwing anybody under the bus. I mean, try to keep it anonymous, I guess. But anything to stand out to you as far as during the race, before the race, reasons people drop, anything like that? Give us the good stuff.
Oh gosh. All right, so I'll probably start with, and again, I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus. It's just a story of a situation that occurred. It's probably near and dear to my wife's heart. By the way, my wife, she kind of runs the kitchen, so she handles all of the volunteers within the heated activity hall as far as making that run smoothly. So she's a cafeteria worker for the local school district, so she knows the ins and outs of how to run a kitchen. But the story this was a couple of years ago. One of the runners that I think predominantly was probably a road runner was looking for their results. And if anybody spent any time around any sort of trail races, we know that unlike road races, results aren't necessarily instantaneous. Now, in this case, the timing company that we're using were doing a very fine job of posting the race results live and everything. Unfortunately, the postings were actually outside the heated activity hall. So the runner was looking for, her race results, and it was explained to her that they're actually outside next to the timing official and everything, and they explained like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to go back outside in the cold and everything. And it's like, lady, you just spent 2 hours running around in the cold. If your results are that important to you, walk the 50 feet out to the timing official and get your race results. So,
oh my goodness.
So she, and that's one of quite a few, but that was kind of near and dear to my wife's heart because she was having to deal with it front and center. She's trying to get lentil soup heated up, chili heated
Yeah.
up, hot dogs heated up, and somebody's asking why their results aren't instantaneously right there for them. So yeah.
Yeah. And your wife, she is amazing, everything that she does for this event. The after party is awesome, especially considering it's in January. So it's cold outside, but we're in a heated activity hall. There's a DJ. People do dance. I was one of them last year. And you have fresh French fries. Nobody else does French fries. You actually have French fries at one of the aid stations, which is just unheard of. Fresh French fries, and then all kinds of soups. I mean, the spread is huge at the end of this race, and the spread at every aid station is huge. So I just want to throw that out there. I've never seen a spread like this. And you have French fryers that you bring to this thing, right?
Yeah, for sure. Now, you'll probably hear this common theme as I talk here over the next couple of minutes. I'm all about not reinventing the wheel. So when you say we have French fries, yes, but I want to make sure I stole that from the hat run. When I was in shape running ultras and everything, when I was finished with hat and everything, first thing I got was some hot French fries and everything. I'm like, oh my God. So that's one of the things I stole from another local race is the French fries and everything. So why reinvent the wheel? It's a salty food that everybody wants to take in and everything. And it's in the dead of winter, when we're doing it. So yeah. So we put on a nice spread in the heated activity hall, and my sons, Andrew and Nick, they started 11 years ago, young kids learning how to use the fryers and everything now. And now the both of them, they're 22 and soon to be 20 years old. Those two were the only two that were running the fryers the whole entire day, which was just phenomenal to see them grow from middle-aged kids to a couple of young adults that I can wipe my hands of it, and I know that the fries going to keep on coming. They're going to be there for all the runners and everything. So yeah, definitely can't do it without the family. But back to the hall, yeah. So the location is perfect. If you're going to have a race in the dead of winter, have it. Some amenities that are going to be, valued by your runners and everything. So that hall is heated. We got inside bathrooms. We got a full spread of food. And as you mentioned before, the DJ, Kyle's been my DJ for the past 11 years. We actually met him through scouting when we were doing Boy Scouts. So it's definitely much a friends and family sort of vibe and affair that puts it on.
How many pounds of French fries do you purchase?
That's a great question. I purchased this year, and it was a little short. Again, one of the mistakes that I made, thinking because last year I had extra, I ended up purchasing 210 pounds. Now, I was thinking 210 pounds for 500 runners and volunteers. That's like half a pound of fries on average per runner. And the year before, I ordered like 240 and I had extra. So I was thinking, 210 will be perfect, spot on. Well, we blew through the 210 and I ended up having to run to my local grocery store and buy some more bags of French fries to keep it going and everything. So next year, I'll probably err on the side of caution and probably get about 280. And then we also do breaded mushrooms and nuggets and onion rings and everything. I mean, the fryers are there. You might as well take advantage of them and everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you got the deep fryer hot. It opens up a lot of options.
Yeah, it sure does. I mean, it takes a while to get it heated up and everything. But again, I mean, beforehand, Grace and you kind of reached out and said, "Oh, you know what makes Phunt run so smoothly?" I'd like to think we're learning from every year. So, for example, last year we finally pulled the trigger on getting this huge ass jet fryer. There's a company down in outside Houston that makes these jet fryers for like seafood boils and whatnot, and they have this, this homegrown monstrosity that they built with jet tubes, the whole 9 yards, and it costs probably 3 times as much as one of your regular, fryers you get at Cabela's and everything, but it was worth it. We had a big ass pot on it. We, was able to get the oil, warm quickly, kept going strong and everything. So it's learning, year after year, what is needed to make everything run smoothly on race day. That being one example.
Now, your aid stations, is it pretty much the same groups cover the same aid stations every year? Are you lucky that way?
Yeah, exactly. I'm also lucky that way. So, again, I mentioned kind of the friends and family aspect for the past, really the past, 10 years or so, I've had the same groups running the aid station. So Rob Bartholomew and his wife Kathy are the aid station captains for aid station 1. You might know Rob and Kathy from doing all the trail maintenance on the Mason-Dixon line.
Yep.
Great stewards there. They run aid station 1. It's always kind of an Army, MASH sort of theme based on, his days in the Army and everything. So aid station 2 has been run the last couple of years by Ali and Alberto Vasquez. So great couple that have been coming to the Trail Dog events here for the last, 20 years, and they put their hands up as far as running aid station 2. And then aid station 3 kind of bop in and out, but Kenny and Heather Dussault have been doing that aid station here for the past 4 or 5 years. So and honestly, that's one of I think our successes, or I like to think my the secret to our secret in the sauce is having volunteers that you can trust and kind of share the same sort of vision of what you want, to happen and transpire on their own tweaks to it and everything. They're the subject matter experts. So I kind of wash my hands of all the aid stations and everything. And just having, those relationships with those volunteers and friends, I it's just one less thing off of my head that I need to worry about. So
now you say that, but I remember working. Now this year I got to work aid station 4, which was fun, but I remember working aid station 3 and you driving around and bringing us pizza and beer.
Well, you guys were, your aid station 3, which was the most remote, is not easy to get in and out of there quickly and everything. So, the race is only going to be successful if I have volunteers that are feeling valued and appreciated and want to return back the next year. So the least I could do is bring you some, lukewarm pizza and beer, Grace. So I mean, that's my perspective. You're the one that's sitting out in the cold all day while I get to drive around in a heated car or go into the activity hall, make sure everything's going on. So I have it easy on race day, whereas and if I recall right, last year it was pretty cold too. Last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was pretty cold. And now this year I was at aid station 4, which was nice because we could just pop into the activity hall and grab some food. But I did notice something new at the aid stations, and I wanted to talk about this.
Yeah, sure.
We had asparagus. How did that happen?
It kind of, again, we like to tweak it every year, and we're not going to have everything under the sun, but I'm beginning to realize that not every runner is going to be fueled by Cheez-Its and M&Ms. We have vegetarians and vegans, folks that are gluten sensitive, things of that nature. So I was thinking, maybe something a little more healthier. So last year, just by a whim, I got a box of pickles. Well, usually the pickle juice usually goes much more in hotter, warmer events and everything. I didn't think that we were going to go through pickles like we did last year. But, apparently they love them at the aid station. So I figured, all right, well, we'll get some pickles this year. And then, you know what? I personally like pickled asparagus. So I figured, maybe somebody else will like pickled asparagus. So tried something. I'm not sure how many containers I had left. I know I unpacked yesterday. I found one bottle unopened, but I'm not sure if I don't think it was a huge hit. So I'm not sure we'll do it next year or anything.
We had fun trying to convince people to have pickled asparagus, and we did get a couple of takers, and we got photo evidence.
That might have been the only picture though, and probably the only person trying it. So
yeah.
I mean, I've had some misses over the years as far as what we've offered and everything. So
it's not far off from pickles. Let's face it. So
yeah.
You were talking about just straight asparagus. I'm like, well, they're not going to get much from that. But pickles, I mean, it's got the salt and the sodium.
Okay, so more wild stories of things that you've seen.
Oh, okay. Well, I get, I'm not sure you're gonna see things that I've seen, but it's something I've experienced, and this is it'll probably be a laugh for you, but I call it Fucklegate. PH, you say instead of buckle, fuckle. So a couple years ago, probably about 6 years ago, I offered a medal, a finisher's medal, that was also a buckle. Now, you would have thought it was the most sacrilegious thing that I have, that was ever conceived, of offering a belt buckle for something that wasn't a 50 or 100 miler. Now, personally, I personally wouldn't wear a buckle unless I had earned a 100-mile finish. But I find it a little hypocrisy of trail runners and ultra runners that are like anti-establishment, man. Let's just like do our own thing and everything. So bent out of shape about the fact that an event that was offering a buckle for a distance that was only 50K or 25K. So there was such a shit storm that transpired from it. And I just loved it. I just ate it up, and just to get people talking about it. How can they be doing this and everything? I'll never run fun again. I'll never accept that. Meanwhile, you could just use it as a medal too. It was on a lanyard, on a ribbon. Just put it up on your wall if you don't want to use it as a buckle and everything. So
I remember that. That was hilarious. And your buckles are huge. They're not the buckle or the medal, whatever it is. It's always gigantic, and it's usually a 2-in-1. Like it's a medal and a coaster, or a medal and a bottle opener. Like they're like almost as big as my head. No, maybe half the size. I have a big head. They're like half the size of my head.
Fucklegate, that was a pretty interesting one. I'm looking at my notes here as well. So, some of the issues that we've dealt with over the years that have just been headaches for us is as great as that heated activity hall is. The electrical system in it just sucks. It's basically a 4-H barn activity hall. It was a hall that was probably built at least 30 years ago. So when you would put roasting pans on the same circuit, it was just tripping all the fuses and everything else like that. So we dealt with that for, when I say we, my wife dealt with that for 2 or 3 years. And then about year 3, it's like, you need to find something more permanent solution to deal with that. And because we end up having to take the roasting pans, put them on the complete other opposite side of the activity hall, just so it wouldn't trip the circuit breakers and everything. Coffee urns, same thing. So finally, again, things running smoothly. It wasn't always the case when we were first starting out. So it's probably been about 5 or 6 years now, but I bit the bullet and I bought a used big ass 500-pound generator. I only run it, basically 8 hours, one time per year, but it runs the hall. We run heavy duty extension cords in it. It's got, 50 amp circuit. It's got two 30 amp circuits. It's got, no, it's got three 30 amp circuits. Excuse me. It can, it can handle all the roasting pans, all the urns and everything, one less headache and everything. So, that was a big one because, that wasn't fun having to, move, stuff around the activity hall when you got like 150 people in your way trying to get it to the next outlet. And again, to be fair, it was the volunteers in the activity hall that really had to deal with that, more than myself. So, again, want to make their lives easier as well as make the user experience better. So, it was a no-brainer as far as to get the generator. Let's see here. Let me see if there's any other thing that was going on here. Little interesting. Just an issue I had to deal with. Yeah, I'd like to think that the race comes off as being a very inclusive environment. We have, we have people that can get on the podium in other races, and we have back of the pack people that need 8 or 9 hours to finish. But it's a welcoming, inclusive environment. Several years ago, I got approached by an adaptive athlete that was wanting to participate in fun. Never had dealt with that situation before, so I had to kind of work through that kind of situation and scenario. So long and short of it is I reached out to USATF to get a little bit of guidance. Also reached out to a couple of folks in the adaptive athlete community to get their perspective and understanding on it. Long story short, we would allow the adaptive athlete to participate if they wanted to. Unfortunately, the equipment that they were going to use was strictly built for road events, not acceptable for trails. It might have been acceptable for gravel, but we were running, we were doing single track trails and everything. So, unfortunately, I had to deliver that unfortunate message: is you're welcome to attend. You just have to be using the most appropriate equipment for it, which what you have right now is not appropriate for the situation. That was not a fun message to deliver one iota. I don't want us to be a hindrance, but having to kind of work through that issue or headache, whatever you want to call it, that was it was learning for me. The one thing that we did do though is, again, we try to be all about inclusiveness. So one of the experts that I kind of reached out to the community, I said, hey, listen, let's demonstrate that it can be done with the right equipment. So I comped them an entry. They came down from I think they're up in the New Hampshire area with an off-road vehicle, for lack of a better word, a pedaled, hand pedaled vehicle, and they were able to manage the course with no issues whatsoever. So that was kind of interesting to see. So that's the only time we've had an adaptive athlete, but they're welcome back any time.
Well, what a great learning experience. And then also, great of you to reach out to those resources and just get help with managing through it.
Yeah. I mean, never, when I signed up to be race director, never thought in my wildest dream that I'd have to, deal with these sorts of kind of questions and issues. But that's a reality that race directors face. The other one that is probably front and center on everybody's mind is non-binary participants. So how do you approach that? How do you deal with that? So again, we're an inclusive environment. So the one thing that I started last year was having a non-binary section and everything. So we actually have had a couple of participants that did put non-binary as their registration and everything. So it's something that needs to be offered and everything. So
it's an easy enough switch. And I think you do have You do have a very inclusive environment, I think, with people from the front and the back of the pack. And in fact, one year, I will just throw this out there. I did get a selfie with Maggie Gutierrez race bib, because Maggie has also raced Phunt, and so you get the very front of the pack coming to the race.
Some years we do. When Maggie was living in the area, she'd frequent Phunt on many occasions and everything, and keep inviting her back. But for some reason, she wants to run those awesome trails in Colorado versus these rolling hills of Maryland and everything. So we've had some upper caliber participants and everything. And as you said, we've had back in the pack too as well. So runs the gamut. Kind of the whole gist of your podcast too. You got Eric in the front and Grace in the back. So
that's right.
And it's a combo that works.
So you were saying, just for people that don't know, apparently you have two different courses for when it's a nasty, muddy year, or what?
Pretty much so. Yeah. So the park is just fantastic stewards of the park. And for the folks that don't know, Fairhill is a 5,600 acre park that has over 80 miles of single track. You could probably pull off. I have to look at the maps to be sure, but actually had a local runner that tried to run all of the single track recently in there, and I think he got at least up to 70 miles. But anyways, 80 miles of single track there, and they also within it have gravel roads and things of that nature. So the park, leading up to the event, we'll be watching the weather, both how much rain we've gotten beforehand and how much is anticipated, a few days, just before the event. So as it turns out, we got walloped with a whole bunch of rain a couple weeks before the event, and then didn't have much drying out as well. And we got another 2 inches and 3 inches of rain just a couple days before the event. So as a result of that, we switched the alternate route, which is gravel and pasture and everything. It turns out the weather on Saturday, it was dropping temps, and it was real windy. And Grace, I'm not sure if you've ever run the alternate route, but as you can attest by just being a volunteer out there on a gravel road, you don't get much protection out on those gravel roads and everything. You had, we lost probably 5 pop-up canopies because the gusts were that bad, and all the runners were having to deal with those same gusts going across that open pastures and gravel roads and everything. So they weren't challenged by roots and rocks on single track, but they had 20 miles an hour winds in their face to deal with.
I have run both courses. So I did run it the last time it was on gravel.
Okay.
And then the year after, I ran it on the single track. And I also want to note this. I have run a race that did not use an alternate course, and I very much appreciate the alternate course. I won't say what race it was, but they should have shut it down, and they didn't. They allowed people to continue running. The trails were absolutely torn up. They were destroyed. They had to bring people in to fix the trails. And there was a mountain bike race the next weekend. There were bridges that had broken slats, and it was really disappointing. Like, that's not why we run. There's this whole kind of mentality of, I signed up, want to get my money's worth. I also, go hard or whatever. and I don't know. I just didn't care for it. We go there to run with the trails. And if it's not working out that day, then it's just fine to have a plan B. You still get to have fun. You still get to hang out with cool people. You still get the aid stations. And so I really love that you have that backup plan. I think that races that continue on when they very much should not, it's disappointing, and I hope they don't do that in the future. I saw it and it was bad. It was bad. I quit when I saw it happening. I was like, this is not, and I left. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's all situational too, depending on what
Yeah.
property it's on and stuff. I mean,
Yep.
I've been to a few races that is like you're saying, just up to your knees mud because a storm's coming through and just not expected. But yeah, I guess you gotta call it at some point and realize you're doing a lot more damage than it's worth.
Yeah. It depends on the area and the trail. Some amount of foot traffic is really helpful for the trail. But there comes a point where it's just like, what are we doing here? So I like that there's that backup gravel course, and it gets me thinking about my races and like, oh my goodness, what am I need to have a backup ready to go so I can switch to it. So I appreciate you that you do it because it has me thinking.
Yeah. But that's a perfect example. When you ran it, Grace, we did not have really a backup plan, and we were kind of notified, a few days before the event of like, you can't use the single track. We're like, oh shit, what do we do? So my course director, good friend of mine, Pete McLaughlin, he was actually out of town. His son was graduating from basic training and everything, and in a hotel room he mapped out on the gravel routes a course for us to mark and everything, and we ended up doing it.
Nice.
Now, as it turned out, runners got an extra mile instead of doing 25K, they probably did 27K. So we didn't charge them anymore for that, but they were pleasantly, well, maybe not pleasantly surprised, but they were surprised on race day when they got to 15.5 and they still had about another mile to go and everything. So
I remember that mile.
Yeah, we learned from that. The course on Saturday was 15.6 miles, based on the best GPS info that we had and everything. And I didn't hear any kind of complaints this year about it being longer.
No.
So, but I mean, the first go around, it wasn't smooth. We had to kind of scramble at the 11th hour to put in a gravel road. But again, we learned about the process. We're like, oh shit, we need to be prepared for the next time it happens and everything. And Pete a couple of years ago came up with this updated, revised gravel route, able to implement it instantaneously. No, our marking crews had no problems doing it. Boom, 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 and it went smoothly this time around.
Yeah, when you've been around this long, I'm sure certain aspects of getting this race ready go pretty smoothly because of the help you have and the volunteers you have.
Yeah, very, very, very much so. I guess the one thing that I could probably be more efficient as is I wouldn't quite say that I'm relearning something that I learned 12 months ago, but because this is the only race that I currently race direct, and to be clear, I don't have any plans to do any more in the foreseeable future. You're kind of having to dust off your knowledge that you kind of put away 12 months earlier and everything. So whereas if you're a seasoned race director that was doing races every 6 or 8 weeks and everything, you'd probably be a little bit more efficient about it. So that's just the nature of the beast. When you just race direct one event, you're just gonna have to deal with kind of dusting off the cobwebs and everything. So, like even simple stuff like, all right, how do I log into my USATF account again, and where is it do I go to get my sanctioning? So but I mean, that's first world problems, right? In the grand scheme of things, remembering how to use a website in the grand scheme of things is pretty rough to have as far as problems.
Now, one of the things that I wanted to ask about, because when I think of inclusivity, one of the things that I think as race directors that we have an opportunity to be more mindful of is the price of races. So making sure that races are affordable, that means that you are more inclusive to people who either, for whatever reason, maybe they just choose not to spend a ton of money on races, or they can't afford races. So in my mind, when I think of inclusivity, it's also the cost of races, and Phunt is very affordable. And for everything that you offer, how are you pulling that off? It makes no sense to me. I mean, I know you just accumulate stuff over the years, probably being underneath Trail Dogs helps. But the swag is amazing. The medals are huge. The aid stations are awesome. And then the cost of the race is pretty affordable.
Yeah, the short reply to that is thanks. I really appreciate you noticing that. Kind of the longer answer to that was the price is it being relatively affordable is a little bit has to do with where Phunt was 20 years ago and how the Trail Dogs are as an organization. The Trail Dogs is a very informal club here in the Maryland, Delaware, PA area. And historically, we've put on fat ass events where you just kind of show up and run. Phunt being one of them. One of the kind of issues I faced early on, again, this is 11 years ago, was changing the mindset of shifting from a show up and run fat ass to no, this is going to be a race that you have to pay for, and it's going to be more regimented and everything. So again, a little bit kind of the trail runner, ultra runner kind of anarchist kind of mindset of let's just do it on our own and have a fat ass fun event. Phunt went to something like, oh shit, I got to sign up and I got to pay money for it. I can't just show up with a can of Pringles and be done. So when we started kind of charging for Phunt, we were very cognizant of the fact that we were shifting the mindset of what Phunt used to be to what it is. So we kind of wanted to charge the bare minimum, if you will, to break even, so I'm not making any money off of it by any stretch of the imagination. Now the Trail Dogs are getting extra funds from Phunt, which go to pay for the other fat ass events that we hold through the year. Number one. Number two, maybe a lot of people don't know it because we haven't really publicized it, but the Mason-Dixon Trail System, we actually donated monetary amount to them a couple of years ago so they could buy new trail maintenance equipment as well. So hopefully we're using those funds the right way, in the right way that kind of the Trail Dogs kind of envisioned, if you will. So the other thing that I do to kind of keep the costs down is I get sponsors and whatnot. There's a local distributor here in Elkton, Maryland, that gives us gobs of free beer and everything, which is helpful.
Wow.
I have a membership at Restaurant Depot, so I can buy large quantities of French fries and hot dogs really cheap. You can get a lot of sourcing done, legitimate sourcing too, overseas, and get a fairly inexpensive quality merchandise from overseas as well. As it turns out, I use a awards company up in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, that I get all my stuff through. Now they actually outsource this to vendors over in China and everything, but the end result is affordable, medals and things that we can offer to our participants as well as our volunteers and everything. So hopefully you're able to pick up one of the hoodies that we got. I did. Volunteers this year, and we also have the palm beanies and the buffs that we offer too and everything. So again, we're trying to give as much value as we can for that $40, and then also try to give as much value to the volunteers that bust their ass for the 8 or 12 hours on race day. So to keep them coming back year after year. So
yeah, I love it, and I think it is a mentality that there are some regions that have it. Certainly, York County picks that up as well. We've got a lot of small, kind of inexpensive, and I appreciate those. I think they're important to have a mix, and there's nothing wrong with a race that is a little more expensive too. But I appreciate having races around that you know, that you can get good stuff. It is connected to the community, and also you don't have to mortgage your home to afford.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure.
Well, I know that your race has been on my list since I started running in 2016. One of these days I'll make it down.
Yeah, you should. You know, I mean, again, you know, the one thing about the race for I'm always amazed the breadth of the runners that we, show up. We have, trail purists, people that are used to running Mason-Dixon, Conestoga, and they'll still show up to run, these rolling hills, of Fairhill. But then you get people that are downstate in the Delmarva Peninsula who come up here and like, oh my God, I got 100-foot climb here. This is going to be a challenging day for me. The two ends of the spectrum that show up, I'm just fascinated by it, that both ends of the spectrum will show up for the same event. And
I don't get it. I don't understand it, Carl. I love the Mason-Dixon and the Conestoga. Those are my stomping grounds, and they're absolutely beautiful. And I got to tell you, your course is not my favorite at all.
Oh, yeah.
But the race is one of my favorites.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's nothing, nothing unique or special about those, trails or anything. So, I'm not sure what it is that, people want to come for. So, I mean, I just think it's seeing all your other friends there and just having a good festive time,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's its own animal in itself now. From when I first started running not that long ago, Phunt was one of those ones where I knew that if I had to do it, I needed to know a year in advance. And just that alone gave it this special, like, oh my gosh, if I this race must be big because I have to be prepared to commit to it a full year in advance. And because of that, it makes it a little more difficult for a lot of people, myself, to jump into doing it every year. But it's funny because I wonder what that is. Do people panic and sign up for it because it sells out every year? I don't know. Or is it the aid station food and the French fries, which that's what I would be coming down for.
Yeah. So, I mean, and maybe it's, a different answer for the different participant and everything, so, and I think that, at the end of the day, that's probably what it is and everything. So like, you're probably coming down to see your buddies, drink beer in a hall, listen to music and eat French fries and everything. You're not using Phunt as far as a specific workout for your next 50 or 100 miler and everything. So, you're there to have fun. So,
well, keep doing what you're doing because it's working. And
I appreciate that. And don't be shy to sign up on the wait list, because one of the things that happened this year is we had a lot of drops and we're able to move people off the wait list. So if, in this fall, if your schedule is looking a little more, concrete and everything, Eric, you're not going to do yourself any harm by hopping on the wait list.
Yeah. How deep did you go this year on the wait list?
Oh, let's see. I had probably about 70 people on the wait list that ended up blowing through. I mean, we had that, when you sign up for a race literally a year out, you blew through that, that. I mean, it got to a point where, let me put it this way. I had anticipated 800 runners showing up, and that's how many medals I ordered. The week before the event, I had 700 on paper signed up for it. So, and then actually on race day, only 526 showed up.
Right.
So, yeah. So there's a couple of people that pinged me 2 days beforehand and said, "Hey, can I get in and everything?" And we gave them blank bib, but yeah, they were able to get in and run it and everything.
It's good to know. Grace, I'm coming to your house next year.
I keep telling you. I keep telling you to come down. Although you got to come down sometime and run the Mason-Dixon or the Conestoga. This guy, the one time he's come down to York County to race, he did the Burritos Run, which was a road run. Terrible
Oh
idea.
yeah.
They have great burritos.
That must have been the draw for Eric is the burritos, I guess.
It was.
Was that was like a burrito to burrito run, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing it again this year. It's
Yeah.
there's 4 Burritos in York County and there's one in Lancaster County now too. And it's running from burrito to burrito place and you eat a burrito at every one of them.
Oh my God.
We have terrible races down here. Great races. It's an awesome race. It is a lot of fun. And I think it's going to be St. Patrick's Day weekend, I think.
Yeah, it was. I enjoyed it. The burritos were delicious. The weather was cold and windy. The last burrito in the last section of miles was rough though.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Anyway,
Crazy,
right, we gotta wrap it up.
Crazy races.
Wrap it up.
Crazy races. All righty. Well, thanks for coming on, Carl. I appreciate it.
Pleasure.
I love learning from you because you do such a great job with Phunt and all the volunteers are amazing and the runners are amazing. And I'll be back again next year. It's so fun.
Awesome. Great to hear. Thank you so much. And bring Eric with you next year, hopefully.
I'm gonna do it.
Definitely.
I promise you. It's on my close radar. It's just a matter of getting down. One of the biggest problems for me is the weather. For me to drop down through the state this time of year, or the time of year the fun is pretty rough.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it from him because I drove all the way up to, I didn't drive, actually. I hitched a ride with my friends who drove all the way up to Wellsboro last weekend. Terrible.
I'm on it. You're right. I'm on it, Grace.
Okay.
It's going to be a party.
Excuses.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Carl.
My pleasure.
Thanks, Carl.
Take care. Have a great day.
See ya. Okay. So, Eric, what are you doing this weekend?
I don't have anything planned this weekend. So Casey turned 13 today.
Woo, Casey.
She's having a sleepover in my garage where the aid station was on Saturday night, and she's having like 7 girlfriends over.
Awesome.
I'm trying to figure out a way of getting out of town. I don't know. I'm half considering running somewhere new on Saturday. Within a few hours of here, and maybe sleeping in my truck or something, and then running in the morning. It's just a thought. I'm not sure what the weather's doing yet, but if the weather is somewhat favorable, anybody out there want to host me or take me on a trail that I haven't been on, reach out to me because I was kind of leaning towards that. But other than that, I don't know. You?
I can't run your speed, but I highly recommend doing bridge to bridge on the Mason-Dixon. There you go. 32 miles of beauty.
Guess I'll have to
And
watch.
nobody from the north believes us that our trails are pretty down here. It's fine. It's fine. You will.
Fine.
You'll see one day.
What are you doing, Grace? You're doing 2 big. You've had a very big weekend, and Monday and Tuesday. So
yeah.
What are your actual plans for this coming weekend? Is there anything non-running plans or what?
Running plans. I'll probably do the Jacobus 5-miler, which is part of the winter series. So I'll hop into that. And then Jason and I are going out Saturday night to, his friend is having a birthday party and his friend is also a DJ and he's very, very good. So we're probably going to go out. It'll be a lot of fun. That's it.
Cool.
5-mile running.
Hey, that's good enough. Busy days.
I'm going to do a 5-miler after this, and it's a road race. I'm super excited.
All right. Well, next Monday, we have a guest on who has a weight loss story that we're going to talk about. It's a good one. And we all have our stories and our whys, and it's kind of an inspirational story. So that should be a good show. And I guess I'll see you again then. It was great seeing you this weekend. I'm kind of raced out at this point, but I mean, I'll get over it.
Are you going to Frozen Snot?
Oh my God, I'll see you there too. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
only
so
going.
you can give me my coat.
Yeah, that's the only reason I'm going to Frozen Snot. I signed up so I can bring you your coat and your cute little scarf.
Thank
Maybe
you.
I'll run the whole race in your scarf and coat. I don't know.
Aw.
I have like a van load of left behind stuff that I need to bring to Frozen Snot to hand out to people because you idiots can't remember just pack your stuff up when you're done and leave with all your stuff.
You know, you said to just like come in, make it like home, and I did.
Yeah.
And I left my coat and my scarf.
Well, you should have left more stuff in your pockets because I checked and there wasn't any money in there or anything like that.
No, there was nothing in my pockets. Just bring it to Phunt or bring it to. Oh, now I'm all confused. Frozen Snot. Bring it to Frozen Snot.
Fine, whatever. Be quiet. All right, I'll see you next Monday, and then I'll see you at Frozen Snot.
Awesome. See you. Bye.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a good week. See ya.
Boop, boop. Pew, pew.